Hello, this is the Harboring Light. I'm Mary. I give a conservative take about the world around me. So this episode has to do with, I'm quite interested in the aspect of how things came to be, particularly with how businesses, the reason, ins and outs and the reasons for businesses to establish. So today's topic is about Arizona teas. Well, the Arizona Tea Company. And I'm going to, of course, give my thoughts and give facts behind the origin of the company and also things that you might know, but you might not know they sell. And also, feedback is greatly important. So please reach out to me and give me ratings and thoughts and comments, questions and concerns, all of that. Sounds redundant, but I can't stress it enough. It's very important to the development and the future of this podcast. And I take everything into consideration, and it's great to keep in touch with all of y'all, because I appreciate all of you listening, and that's my thanks to you by hearing what you all have to say and then building up a community too. So it's email, it's X, whether it be Substack or via, which is really good to get out there too, YouTube. And also, as I note in all of the other podcasts, I will link all of those sources for you, along with the sources for the content that I'm talking about in this episode. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so here we go, getting into the origins. So founders John Fiorito and Don Filitaggio were inner city-focused New York distributors who made their first real money diversion of a pair of malt liquors called Midnight Dragon and Crazy Horse that led sparks on no end of controversy with their marketing and positions. So Snapple is comparatively hassle-free growth. They figured they'd try their hand in a brand. Their first effort, Wesley and Spencer, named after Vilitago's young sons, both now grown and working in the business, was a 16-ounce can line that didn't get far. So devising a pair of malt liquors called Midnight Dragon and Crazy Horse. All right, so for the next stab at this, they tried and went along utilizing the 23.5 ounce big boy beer cans familiar to them from the malt liquor business. So Vilitago's wife, Ellen, had become enchanted by southwestern motifs during a trip to Arizona, and since the name also conjured up the feelings of hot, the partners figured the brand name might work for a tea and juice line. They enlisted New Jersey woman Jean Panine, who served as one of their one-woman virtual design department over the years, to do up their initial sketches. When the can debuted, branding experts derived the results as too recessive to stand out on a store shelf. Nobody does pastel hues on packages, they pronounced. All right, though novice at the game, Fiorito and Fiorito figured that if they violate the rules, that everyone else was following their brand actually would stand out. Of course, they were proven right. Their brand proved a revelation, offering a chunk of perceived value and superior taste to the chemical burn of the dominant can lines at the time. Lipton Brisk from Pepsi's partnership with Lipton, and Nestea from Coke's partnership with Nestle, which only offered 12 ounce for about the same money. And the package clearly fascinated consumers, as was clear on a very early visit to the company's establishment, then in the Gravesend section of Brooklyn. So, and this is according to the article that the source that I'm reading from. This person actually visit the establishment here. That's quite interesting. So digs in the Gravesend section of Brooklyn, where airlines, lamps, and other contraptions that had been elaborately fashioned by consumers from their used cans were on display. And so, before I get into the other parts of this, I find it quite interesting. A whole aspect of logos and the whole aspect of graphic design, particularly with visual communication and all that. So, me personally, I have ever-growing impact and knowledge of it. It impacts me. It is a passion per se for me, especially with visual communication. As I mentioned before, I did study that, meld that together to turn that into a career for myself. And so I would say a lot of things that inspired me as far as to pay attention to visual communications as far as the aspect of advertisement goes is how in the 90s a lot of things they took a lot of liberties with the aspect of how to present something in a commercial. So for instance, now this is just I believe this commercial was from the 80s or so, but they showed it in the 90s. So for instance, Campbell Soups. So they did this long form narrative to revamp the image of Campbell Soup. So the emotional with the emotional gripping aspect of how you feel, going on the impact of that, of how you feel when you are young and you want to go outside and have fun, and then particularly what it's like in the winter months, particularly when it's snowing. And so coming in from the bitter cold and to come into a nice warm home, and then what warmed the child up was a nice bowl of Campbell Soup. And then that fantastical imagery of him melting down from a snowman into a boy. And so you get these images meld together, and that's something that can last with you. And so I find it quite interesting, the whole aspect of the strategies that it takes to study the theories, particularly the color theories that is in the aspect of marketing and presenting a product for the consumer's interest. So, for instance, and from what I've learned, and then I'm, tongue tied there again, my continuous knowledge about this. So, from a restaurateur point of view, and for that aspect of marketing, food marketing, particularly to engage excitement, and to engage an appetite, and to engage attention to that. The colors red and yellow are typically used, and the messaging or the logos to promote a brand. So it says a whole lot about what the company stands for. So, for instance, McDonald's with the arches and the yellow and red, and then Subway and so forth, things like that. And then when you get into the aspect of Arizona tea, it really does stand out because it gives that sort of retro feel. So when I saw Arizona teas growing up in the 90s and in the early 2000s and even now, it sort of sends you back into the 80s, sort of speak, that with the aesthetic of how everything looks. It looks like it's from that era, or it looks like, even more so, like it's something that is a pop art sort of aesthetic to a brand, to where it looks like a work of art to me. This is my point of view. And so, for instance, the little detail, even with the aspect of the green tea. So when you look at the can and the label, you get that feel that this is supposed to give that general aspect of what you think about when the heritage of green tea, or where it comes from, the Asian, culture of that. And when companies keep these things in mind, it really transcends. It really gives a clear message of the elasticity, so to speak, of where the company will stand as far as the test of time. Now, that's not always the case, because you also have to keep in mind the value and also brand loyalty too, with how customers are thought about, who they consider customers, and how they treat customers and think about customers, particularly with advertising and how appealing to the audience. And so, the whole aspect of, unfortunately, this mentality of targeting to a market that's not true or representative of the conservative, or the mass aspect of what the typical brand is targeting to. So, for instance, let's get into the aspect of Victoria's Secret. So, typically, from my generation, and then before then, and then, the Victoria's Secret models, that is, and it's funny because, Victorian, the modesty of that, but actually the Victoria's Secret, if I'm not mistaken, that was named after the founder's wife, I believe. So that's a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother story. So the models are athletic. There's something they aspire to look towards. They're dreamlike. And then recently, with showcasing plus size models and then showcasing things like that and going away from the brand, they really suffered a lot as in sales. And so when you stay true, which, it's interesting with Arizona, the company, staying true to their target audience, and also on top of that, expanding to different things that you wouldn't think about. As far as I'll get into the later the later aspect of this, I'll talk about this in this episode, the later part of this episode. You wouldn't, that getting to to products that you wouldn't think Arizona tea would sell, but they're selling things like that as a surplus, not a detriment to the company, and that's why they're still going strong. Now I'll go on to the legal battles about everything centered around, but for the most part, Arizona tea is standing the test of time because they're staying true to what matters, the customers, not pushing agendas. All right, so let's keep. Jeez, I'm just speaking out of the way here. Let's get even deeper into this topic. All right, so though the line proved an instant winner in New York, its expansion wasn't entirely a smooth ride. Early on, brewing giant Stroke decided to launch a line of tea called Chaos and similar big cans, using the buyout clout, and that's linked to its large malt liquor business to corner the market in big cans and squeeze out Arizona. The scrambling partners brilliantly improvised another unique to beverage package, the 16-ounce wide-mouth glass bottle, to this day a mainstay of its premium line. So the Viltago seemed to get the idea of cruising the steak sauce and salad dressing aisles of the supermarket. It's quite interesting finding inspiration in everyday things. What can come out of that? When Chaos was discontinued, the emphasis could tilt back to the can. In contrast to Snapple, the company struggled to make its juice lines work as well as its tea lines, and also navigating a famously bumpy ride with DSD distributors, entering and exiting houses which abandoned until it evolved to a unique hybrid meddling of direct shipping, non-exclusive DSD and company controlled distribution in 3 key markets. Though this evolution, marketing experts periodically with the company's failure to take on an ad agency to do real marketing, the warning for that it would make up a few short years and realize it didn't have a brand. And more than 15 years later, that wake-up call still hasn't come. Essentially to the success has been the company's strategy of pricing the cans at 99 cents. This was for constraining their registered ring, but a hard question for its effectiveness, if that's really, the essence of what helped boost the sales for the beverages. So, for a brief period over the past year, as critical materials like aluminum and corn syrup surged in price, the company had to hedge its reliance on the tactic putting some cans in the market without the 99-cent price and launching a 20-ounce plastic bottle line priced at $1. Any sigh of relief breath by rivals was short-lived, though. As soon as prices subsided, the company went back to pre-pricing all its big cans. Of course, there's a downside to the strategy. According to the source, distributor margins can be skimpy, and even in the brand's home market of New York, retailers in more affluent neighborhoods refuse to carry the package, seeing no benefit to trading down customers who were willing to pay $2 or more for other items in the cooler. The power of this idea, which Viltalgo in the past has modestly minimized by saying, put tea in a big can and paint it real pretty, it's more apparent than ever today, as the tough economy reinforces the notion that elegantly packaged value sells. No surprise then that the ranks of big can pretenders has been growing. Centron was launched by a former Arizona iced tea employee, and brands like Ching Tea from New Age in Colorado and Black Jack from Polar in New England have been launched by distributors who, like Virtalo and Viltalgo before them, figure their street savvy would yield a more credible entry than anything of the big business marketeers at the companies can come up with. Even Dr. Pepper, Snapple's group, is about to copy its copycat. Say that 3 times twice. Planning a test of a 16-ounce can of Snapple priced at 79 cents. Bit of a price war there. Over in the organic aisles, that is for this of trying to see what goes on with the pricing of that. So aggressively with a can line sporting intriguing graphics of the farmers who grow its tea with sweet leaf seems to be heading in a similar direction. So, longtime beverage watcher. This is a longtime beverage watcher. I'm going to end on this. Now let me go back a little bit before I say something with that. So, Arizona iced tea continues to demonstrate that an easily understandable proposition, that is, you do not have to put on your reading glasses or visit a website to know what Arizona iced tea is all about. And a sense of solid value are the eternal lures to consumers. No wonder distributors during these hard, very, very difficult times are flocking to other brands that offer a similar product proposition, such as self-stable versions of Sunny Delight and Nesquik. There are definite lessons there for all of us, even those who like to move consumers more toward the premium price. Yeah, and that's true. Getting to the heart of the matter of understanding the value. When you market yourself at a right price, or you market yourself as a brand who's affordably priced, and then you see where that goes with that. And then that, again, with that brand loyalty, that keeps that value up more and more with the product. So the person who wrote this article is a longtime beverage watcher and is the executive editor of Beverage Business Insight. And then he also has a twice weekly e-newsletter covering the non-alcoholic beverage sector. And forgive me for this pronunciation. Trying my best. So his name is Jerry Kirkmulch, and check him out if you can. It's very insightful what he wrote, and it's a nice touch of him putting the aspect of him personally having experience with knowing the people of this company, because it's one of those things too. If it's one thing to write about something and speak on something, but when you have personal knowledge about the people who founded the company, it gives a whole new aspect and a whole new light of around the reasons of the product. What was this? It doesn't seem like, that's kind of silly to think that, but it's one of those things, just to add on to the point, that things aren't created in a vacuum most of the time. And then there's the thoughts and strategies behind that, and how that links to the inspirations for a particular product. All right, so I'm going to move on and wrap everything up let me finish by talking about the legal battle, and then get into the last part of this segment by talking about the different products that are on the website that you might not know about. Okay, so here we go. All right, with the legal battle. In 1998, the company founders Don Viltago and John Filtito entered an agreement in which the former would operate the company, allowing the latter to move out of state via readers. Under terms of the deal, selling companies' stock to outsiders was forbidden. A decade later, however, Viltito had a change of heart and wanted to sell Arizona Beverages. Worried that a sale would affect his 1,000 employees and confident in bringing in an annual sales of $1 billion, Villalgo resisted. Eventually, the two went to court. After several rulings against him, Viltito sought to dissolve Arizona Beverages completely. New York state law, however, gave Villalgo the right to buy out his co-owner, in which he did. That did not mark the end of the dispute, as the two former partners disagreed on the value of the company. According to Inc., Viltito believed Arizona Beverages was worth between $3 billion and $4 billion. Viltago said the number was roughly $5 million. So as of April of 2015, the two sides agreed to an undisclosed settlement just before the case went to trial. At the time, Reuters, which is a newspaper company located in London, and they do with with broadcasting television too, I think. So reported that the legal dispute marked the largest corporate dissolution case in the state of New York State history. So before I get to the next part, the last part of the segment, this is quite interesting. It reminds me of, he was so good. As I mentioned on a previous podcast, I used to work straight out of college, I got a contract job working for the Small Business Development Center for U of H. And so it was located in downtown Houston. It's at a different location now, I think. But anyway, and so you learn the ins and outs of what to do and how to maneuver as a small business owner and entrepreneur, what to do. And so particularly with this guy, the way he addressed his classes, particularly saying this was quite interesting. He said, don't prepare as the mentality that you won't get sued. Don't think like that. Think what to do when you do get sued. Because that's a really good and rational way of thinking about business. So from the process of how, we're all human, people are human, and in the aspect of miscommunications and misunderstanding and the psychological aspect of that too, to add on that too. And it's very insightful because it helps you to be even more of a stronger business owner, I think. But, this is from my point of view personally, I think, because you have that aspect of that the things happen and you just have to take the right protocol, which is the legal system, and to maneuver your way against it instead of being afraid of it and going and saying this will never happen, just putting your head in the sand about it. Just realizing that that's a part of business, that's a part of life with business, and then just go on. And then if you can't find other measures, because it's all worth it to have that level mentality, because you put your thoughts, your hard work, and your development, and your money, and raising money, and your own money too, most of the time, into building this company. So, why not think like that? So, I'm forever grateful to have that, to have experience of knowing people like that. And it's just, as I get older, I just look upon that and just think about how of a wonderful opportunity that was for me as far as being exposed to these type of situations and, learning things like that. And I'm forever grateful for it. All right, so here we go. I'm going to get into the last part of this segment, talking about things that you might not know, but you might not know, as far as what is sold now with Arizona Tea Company. All right, so here we go. Did you all know that they sell sticks, so which are the enhancers, so to flavor your water? That's really interesting. They have the sticks versions, and then they have the enhancers, and then of course they have canisters, and then I will link this website for y'all too in this episode. And for the sticks, they have Arnold Palmer, green tea, lemon. And then from canisters, they have the Arnold Palmer and the green tea. It seems like that's the only thing that they offer. And then they have, as I was saying about the water enhancers. So they have, with the bottles, they have Arnold Palmer, green tea, mucho mango. They even also, too, they have merchandise. They even sell, believe it or not, but they, it's one of those things, sketchy things, to go along with expanding the foresight of the company. They have press-on nails with the green tea logo on it. And let's go into the merch. So they have t-shirts for kids. They have backpacks. They have sweatpants. They even have skatewear. They have hats. They have gift cards. They got keychains. And it's quite interesting getting into the aspect of skateboarding. I'm pretty sure they noticed that too. That has to do with that mentality of, this was prevalent, particularly more so along the lines in the 80s, and then going how it continued to sweep the wave in the 2000s. And then, it's I think it's resurfacing back to, feel free, all of y'all who are in the know about that too, about skateboarding and skateboarding culture of today. And then, get into the aspect of youth mentality with skating and everything else with that, having that skatewear. That's a good way to go. And it's really cute that they have a kids collection, and they also have a heritage collection too. So with the heritage collection, it says it's a carefully curated ensemble that represents the pinnacle of the brand's history and future. So the 8-piece collection is meticulously created to offer a perfect balance between functionality and fashion, ensuring that Arizona Heritage Collection becomes a staple in every wardrobe. So they have anywhere from hoodies to, they have a field coat, they have a vest, Arizona, with the green tea with the blossoms. They have a puffer vest, and they have sweatshirts, and it's really interesting. And then also, that goes without saying, on all the social aspects as far as X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, and even YouTube. And then you can also sign up if you want to join and receive a special offer. You can also do that too. Okay, snacks. All right. So they have ice pops. They got fruit snacks. They even have the chips and dips, which you would find in 7-Elevens, things like that, gas stations and stuff like that. And they have, with the fruit snack, here are the flavors. So they have all fruit snacks. They have mixed fruit, Arnold Palmer, green tea, and sour lemonade. And then for the snack trays, they got nacho cheese and also salsa and chips. It's quite interesting. And that's neat too, to have the ice pops, particularly when it's, summertime, it's hot. In the winter, some people, like that. They think that cold drinks or ice cream, things like that, taste better in the winter. Yeah, hey, that's for you. And so, international products, let's see. Oh, we got it for the international products. That's coming soon. So, hey, that's something that's quite interesting. They're expanding out to merch for international. All right, everybody. This reaches the end of the Harboring Light. Tune in, turn up, and absolutely take care out there. Bye-bye now.